All right, welcome to the Explainer. In this one, we're diving into 7 habits that, believe it or not, might be quietly destroying your peace.
You ever feel like that? You're putting in the work, you're trying so hard, but success and that sense of peace just feel miles away. We tend to look for reasons outside of ourselves, right? But what if the biggest walls we're facing are the ones we're building inside our own heads?
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. See, some habits, they're not dramatic. They don't seem like a big deal. But over time, they slowly chip away at us from the inside, becoming these massive barriers between us and our goals.
So let's kick things off with our first section. We're calling this one Chains of the Mind, because that's exactly what these habits are. They're these internal loops that can keep you trapped before you even get started.
Okay, so first on the list, and this is a big one, I think we've all been here, it's a classic mental trap.
Yep, it's overthinking. You know the drill. Instead of actually solving a problem, we just spin it around and around in our heads until it feels absolutely massive, totally impossible to deal with. We end up getting crushed under the weight of something that's mostly just in our minds.
I love this metaphor here. It says excessive thinking is like dust on a window. The world outside hasn't changed, right? But that layer of dust makes it impossible to see anything clearly. And that's exactly what overthinking does. It just clouds our judgment.
All right, coming in at number 2 is something that keeps so many people stuck right where they are, no matter how much potential they have.
And that is the fear of change. It's kind of funny, right? The most constant thing in life is that everything changes, yet we so often resist it with everything we've got, purely out of fear.
So here's the deal with that. We tend to stay where we are even if we're not happy, just because the unknown feels so intimidating. But the crucial point here is that by fearing change, we're basically closing the door on the very opportunities we say we want. Time moves on, and if we don't, we get left behind.
And that brings us to the third chain of the mind, and this one is all about where we're focusing our energy.
Yep, we're talking about living in the past. It's simple, really. You just can't move forward if you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror, can you?
This quote puts it perfectly. The past is a closed door, and no matter how hard you push on it, it's not going to open again. Life really does belong to those who can turn around and move on.
Okay, so let's move on to our next section, because all these mental habits, they tie into something deeper. It's all about reclaiming your self-worth and your own inner strength.
All right, habit number 4. This one is a common misconception, a misunderstanding of what real strength looks like.
And that's the fear of being alone. We're so often told that being by yourself is a weakness, but the source material here argues it's the total opposite.
Because true strength is realizing that the one person who will always be with you is you. That's self-reliance. That's the real power that keeps you from breaking when things get tough. Think about it. Every great leader, every fighter, they face their hardest moments alone, powered by their own self-belief.
Following right on the heels of that, we've got number 5, and honestly, this might be one of the most damaging habits of the bunch.
It's underestimating yourself. Probably the biggest lie you'll ever be told is that you're weak, that you're not capable.
And the source here is crystal clear. Your life begins to change the very second you stop believing that lie and start believing in what you can actually do. So, once you start changing things on the inside, it's only natural that it changes how you deal with the outside world. That brings us to our final section, rewriting social rules.
Okay, this next one, number 6. This is a tough pill to swallow, but it is so important, especially when it comes to sharing what you're going through.
And that's the habit of sharing your sorrow with absolutely everyone. We think telling people our problems will make us feel lighter, but the source here warns that not every person listening actually has your back.
Now what's really interesting here is this breakdown. It's pretty stark. It suggests that about 80% of people you tell, they just don't care. And the other 20%, they might actually be happy to see you struggling. It's a harsh reality, but your vulnerability can definitely be used against you.
And that leads us to our final habit, number 7. This is all about getting your self-respect back in your day-to-day interactions.
And that is saying please and sorry when you don't need to. Constantly apologizing for things that aren't your fault, or always looking for someone else's approval, it just chips away at your sense of self-worth.
And this slide illustrates the difference beautifully. There's a huge gap between politeness, which is about showing respect where it's due, and weakness, which is about constantly bowing down and basically inviting people to push you around. You can be respectful without giving up your dignity.
So, okay, we've gone through all 7. And you might be thinking, wow, where do I even begin?
But the first step is actually pretty straightforward.
It really just comes down to these three things. First, you have to acknowledge the habit. Just identify which of these chains are holding you. Second, you have to decide to let it go. Make a real choice to stop feeding it. And third, you have to act. Take one small step forward today.
See, the power to change isn't something you have to go find somewhere out there. It's right here with you right now. So the only question left is, which one of these chains are you going to break first?